Good morning.
And a good morning indeed. Hello, my name is Jack Counterman. I decided to do the Episcopal denomination. The Episcopal denomination, also called the Church of England, was created and founded in 1789. It is one of the independent churches that makes up the Anglican Communion, the origin of which came about when the Pope refused to grant King Henry VII an annulment back in 1534. They are now part of the third largest group of Christians in the world. The St. Margaret's Church has grown from 20 members to roughly 220 members since 1984. I'll just quote straight from the website on the purpose of their church. The purpose of St. Margaret's Church and our members is to know Jesus Christ better through prayer, the study of the Bible, the giving and receiving of the sacraments, and in our personal relationships, and to make Him and His redemptive love known in all the world. The Episcopalians believe in the Holy Trinity, that God is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. They believe in the followings of Jesus Christ. Most astoundingly, they have a legacy of preaching inclusivity, unlike other denominations, whether it be about race or sexual identity. Here is what David Grayshaw, the junior warden, has to say on that issue.
Things that welcome people and let them understand how welcoming a church can be, as opposed to how sometimes churches get a more of a claustrophobic feel to people because they don't feel like there's welcome to outsiders, and it's a very welcoming church for all ages and groups. There's no biasness. There's no age, race, religion, sexual orientation. Any of that is not judged on upon church, because we have people who are Asian here, we have people who are of Indian descent here, we have African Americans here, we have same-sex couples here, we have even some transgender here.
Sadly, I was not able to go to one of their regular services since Corona happened. In fact, the church has not had a physical service for 14 weeks. The day that I went was the first time since they moved everything online that they met physically. The service I went to was just a prayer meeting. They would speak prayers out loud in a group. Sometimes they would speak in a domino effect, such as one person would speak, then the rest would, and then repeat. I talked with the senior warden, who said that they did not currently have a priest, and that the person who was recording and presenting the YouTube videos, which you are currently viewing, was a temporary priest. I want to note, though, that they would normally perform a communion of wine and bread every week, which is very different from the denominations that I have been to. I asked David about the women in the church and if they held any high-ranked positions. David claims that women do have positions in the church. However, I noted that the positions that he notes are really positions that in a stereotypical Christian home are roles that the women would perform. In fact, David only gave me 3 examples of women in high positions: their outreach program, the children's education, and the treasurer, all dominated by women. The highest positions in the church are all held by men. This might be different for the other Episcopal churches, however, this was the case for the church that I visited. The Episcopal Church is very accepting of the LGBT community. Here's what David has to say about it.
These items, they were sexual preference or sexual agenda is not on the plate for discussion as far as whether they should or should not be allowed to come to church. I think that's a very important thing, because one of the things that I was always taught as a child was that you go to a church because you're accepted and you should get unconditional love. And when you do that, you shouldn't feel like you're being judged when you walk through a door. And if you do, you're walking through the wrong door. It is not our place to judge anyone. it shouldn't. People shouldn't be judging people, and when they do, if they look into the Bible as it says itself, you are a worse sinner than the sinner in front of you if you're judging them. It's just not our place.
As previously mentioned, St. Margaret's Church does not currently have a priest, and that was something that David really hit on, that it was not just them that did not have a priest, but in fact most Episcopal churches are lacking a priest right now. David mentioned that most Episcopal churches would have a single priest for maybe 10 years before that priest would move on to a different church. This is very different from other denominations, as most preachers or priests only stay how long they want. This was one of the major problems that their church is currently facing. Another problem was that since most of their congregation was on the elderly side, they had a problem with people being able to show up. Here's what David has to say about it.
And when that's where the COVID thing ended up kind of being a blessing, and it's very detrimental for a lot of people, but for us, it actually gave us a way to connect to people who weren't able to get to the church. And that's been an issue for a long time for us. You say, oh, darn, Betty's, broke her hip, but she's not gonna be able to get to church. This is what keeps her going. And that's what keeps people connected and motivated spiritually in their life and in physical life. And when we did that, it actually so I kept track of that. So like I said, we have 75 people who normally are on average in our congregation that show up. On our YouTube church services, we have over 110 every week. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's a 25% jump in what we see sitting in our seats. So that's number has got to be higher than that also, because most people are watching that streamline with their family. So that means 2 or 3 or 4 people may be watching that one instead of just one. So we'll probably have over 150 people watching the service. And they may just, now it's set up for our congregation only at this point, but that's pretty neat that we're able to do that. And that's actually corrected an issue that we've always yearned to connect and solve, and that we actually solved one.